Alright, so here's today's little screw up. I somehow or another didn't tighten down the lug nuts. Either that or it just went bad. I know these rims were recalled, and I replaced 2 of them on the other machine. This one might be part of that recall, I'm not positive, but some lug nuts came loose a while back. The rim worked around on it like that and oval out the holes on the rim. I was able to put a washer behind the rim, so I wasn't getting into the bad threads on the studs, and tighten those lug nuts up. And it held for a while, but now it's going again, and that stud is now spinning with the lug nut, so I have to cut this off, and I'm going to show you how to pull that hub off and then get the studs out and then replace the studs. And I also have a new rim waiting for me, so I'll get that apart and I'll get back to you. Alright, before I get too far ahead of myself, you got to take the brakes off. So there's this plate that holds the brakes on, and one of the bands goes in that hole. Oops. One of the bands goes on that hole, the other band goes on this bottom hole, and then the bolt goes through the top hole, so that when you pull the emergency brake, that twists, tightening that band. So anyways, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just 3 bolts that hold that on. Take that off, and then the brake will come off. Don't lose these guys. These go inside. Have that there. I keep hitting zoom. Sorry about that. I'm a lefty and I'm holding on to the camera with my right hand, and my thumb just keeps hitting that zoom lever. Anyways, okay, so straighten out the cotter pin and just gotta tap that out. Once that's tapped out, the drum has got to come off, but you can't just pull the drum off because it's on a tapered shaft with a keyway in it. So you need to pull this bolt out, and then we need to put a 3-jaw puller on it. So let's get the bolt off and then we'll get the puller. Alright, with the 3-jaw puller on there, you can see the brake band would be in the way, so you want to make sure you take the brakes off first, because if you don't take the brakes off first, the 3-jaw puller is just going to push down on the brakes, and you're really kind of struggling with yourself to try to get that off. So with the brakes off, I can get a good purchase on the back side of this, on the back side of the puller, and with any luck, this will just pop off because the mower's not very old. And there it goes. Alright, so you can see you have a key here, and then here's your brake drum. So I got to get those studs out, and the studs are just pressed in, so you should just be able to have them. Just give them a couple of whacks. And that's it. That drum looks like it's in bad shape right there. I'm gonna see, because this stud that I cut started spinning in that hub. I can see the teeth are all worn down, but let me try to put one of those old ones back through to make sure it still grabs. If it grabs, then I can just get 4 new studs and be okay. But if it doesn't grab, meaning if that hole is ovaled out a little bit, then this hub is shot and I'll have to get a new one. So let me just go see if I can get a stud in there. Hang on. Yeah, with an old stud, I put it in from back there and hit it a few times, and it's only halfway in, and I'm having to hit it real hard to get it in, so I'm sure that hole's still fine. That stud out. Take one. Yeah, you can see what happens when I ovaled out that rim. It really wore into these studs. So what I did was just put a washer on here so that the lug nut would only come down and grab these threads and not have to go any further. But I'm not going to go put a stack of washers on here just to reuse these studs. and plus I had to cut one to get it out. So I am going off to the dealer to grab the new rim and see if they have these. If not, I'm going to go to the parts store and I'm sure they'll have something. So I will be back in a little bit. Alright, well, I just got back from the parts store and it was a utter and hopeless fail. The guy sells me the studs and claims he put them on the caliper and all this other crap and tells me that they're the right size. So the first thing I'm like, well, first of all, dude, the spline is too short, but I'm like, you know what, as long as it grabs, I'll be fine with it. And then I get it back to the house and I can't even get this part through the hub. So this is definitely fatter than this one. So I had to call the dealer and they're gonna special order me the factory ones. I think these are metric too. So anyways, I'm not even gonna be able to put those on today, but what I will do today is mount the wheel or mount the tire. There's a lot of people that don't know how to mount a tire, you know, with just screwdrivers, hammers and screwdrivers. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. The issue with the rim, the old rim, if you look on the back side, no, that's front side. Yeah. If you look on the back side, you'll see that indentation right there. When the stud's sticking through here and you tighten up the lug nut onto the stud, the lug nut doesn't have a lock on it, like a lock washer, or it's not a nylon lock nut. So what happened was the old rim, this was just smooth. It didn't have that indentation, and that was a factory recall. They screwed up on the print and they made these rims wrong. So what was happening is over time the lug nuts would just loosen off, and then you'd get that hollowing out oval effect and wreck all the studs. So now with this little indentation, when you tighten up the lug nuts, that compresses a little bit, and that's what keeps pressure on the back side of the lug nut, keeping it you know, on there. So anyways, that was the whole issue behind that. So now I'm going to just show you how to go ahead and mount this rim real quick. I'm just going to do it with all I'm going to use to put this on is 2 screwdrivers and a pair of vice grips. So let me just knock the mud off this tire and clean it up a bit, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, I just knocked some of the dirt off the tire. So now what you need is like soapy water. I've actually used, put a little grease on my finger and just wipe it around the bead here. I have a little bit of lubricating oil right now. I'm just going to spray. Just spray it on the bead. Doesn't have to be too crazy, but you just want to get a little slippery. Oh, first thing I gotta do, I forgot. I gotta put in the valve stem. Bought some valve stems today, so let me go get one of those out, and I'll show you how to put that in. All right, same thing with the valve stem. I just sprayed a little bit of grease on the back of it, or a little oil, and I have the valve stem remover that screws right over the top of it, and with my hands I can just pull it through, and then that lip gets on there. There's also a special tool, looks like a little screwdriver with this threaded part on the end of it on a little bit of a swivel, and you screw it on there, and then you just kind of like pry the screwdriver over the edge of the rim like that, and it pops the valve stem through. But you know, if you need 2 hands or whatever with one of these, it'll get it through, but I just pop it through with 1 hand. It's not really a big deal. So now to get the rim on the wheel, to get the rim on the tire, I'm just going to go valve stem down first and just kind of work it. This is like a 2-hand job, but you can get it. Kind of like turn the rim as you're pushing down on it. Like that. Okay, so here is where the vice grips come into play. So what I'm going to do, I'm sorry, I don't even have a tripod, so I'm just kind of doing this with 1 hand. I think I'll probably set you down on a stool here and maybe get a better look at it. But what I'm going to do is I got to just put some lube on this bead again, go grab a couple of screwdrivers and a vice grip, and I'll show you what happens next. So hang on. Alright, so what I'm doing with the vice grips, I put it right at the valve stem because I don't want to be prying over that area anyway, so the vice grips is just on the rim, just above it, not anywhere near in contact with it. So, and all that really does is kind of help the tire from not falling off. That like I'm going to start from here and head myself around that way, and as I go, the tire won't pop off because that wrench is in the way. So let me see if I can't get you guys set up a little bit and get a better shot at this. Hang on. Okay, now with the pliers here, I like to put a knee on the tire, bring this around. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it between the rim and the tire, sliding it around until I can't slide it anymore, okay? And then just put it between the rim and the tire, slide it around until you can't slide it anymore, okay? And then you just kind of work your way around the rim, little by little. It'll get a little more difficult as you get further around the tire, but if you take a bigger bite at it, like back here, it's really hard. So you try to get it just real close to the screwdriver that you have in there, and just slowly work around until the rim is on, and then you can pop the vice grips off and you're good to go. So now the vice grips are off, time to put air in the tire. This is a pretty soft tire and I have a lot of lube on the bead, so it probably won't be a big deal. But if it doesn't take air, I'll show you how to put air in here. A little more dangerous way, but definitely more fun to do it that way. But first, let's just see if it takes air. Oh yeah, it does. I like to run 15 pounds on my tires. Some people like to run way less, but I find if you're doing a lot of side hilling, if you don't have enough pressure in your tire, you run the risk of rolling the bead off the rim. Not even enough to flatten it, but just enough to get like mud and crap built up in there. And then as you keep doing it, it fills up with more until it finally busts off the bead. So this way, I got 15 pounds of oil pressure. I got 15 pounds of tire or air pressure in it, and we're ready to put it back on the machine. But I can't obviously put it on the machine until I get the right studs. So I'm going to put this video on hold, and then I will just continue it when I get my studs in. So get you back in a minute. All right, where do we leave off? Well, for you guys it was a second. For me it was almost a week. I had to go and order the correct studs for this machine. My hardware store didn't have them. My auto parts store might not have been that they didn't have them, but the guy that was helping me was really kind of clueless, so I didn't bother with it. I didn't need the mower, so I just went back to the dealer and just ordered the right ones. So it's very simple. Just throw the studs back in the holes here, and then I'm going to put it in the vise and get a punch and punch down on those, and then if they're not seated all the way, I'll put a washer on this side with the lug nut, probably on backwards, and then just torque it down until it draws it in. In fact, I might just do that anyways to install these. I'll just take the lug nut, put it on backwards, and then hit it with the impact. Let's see if that works. Hang on. Let's give it a shot. the wrong size. Yeah, these studs are a different size, or the lug nuts are a different size than the other ones. Unless this is for something else. Hang on. Alright. Let's give this a shot. Well, that started it. I'm not gonna just hammer on that impact. I'll put this in the vise and smash on those for a little while with a punch. But this got them started quite a ways, so that should work. All right, I got the studs in, so now I need to get it back on the hub or on the axle. And the best way that I have decided I'm going to do this is I put the brake, the emergency brake or the parking brake on first. I have these loose still, but I just feel like it's harder for me to put the hub on and then try to get the brake squeezed enough over it to start the bolts. I've decided that it's much easier to come in with the brake on. Once you get it started, then I'm feeling around the back here where the keyway is. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. So let me tap on this a little bit to get it over the key. Okay, so that feels like it's got it. So now there is a nut that goes on here, and we'll tighten that up to the next slot, which will be in line with that hole there, and then put the key in. So let me go get the right socket. Well, that is that. In this video I showed you how to mount the tire, right? I think I did. So now, install the lug nuts. I'm using one of the older ones. It's one of the new ones they gave me. It was a little bit crappy feeling. Actually, this one here. No, they're all right. Different size though. But anyways, you get the idea. Just gonna tighten up these lug nuts. Make sure they're torqued on good. And that's it. So that's basically how you change out your studs and a hub when you mangle one of your rims. Now, luckily for me, everything was warranted. I don't think it's too expensive if it wasn't warranted. I think the lug nuts and the studs were like 20 bucks or something, and I think the rim was like 75 or 80 if I were to buy it. So it's not too overly expensive. It's just a bit of a pain because you gotta use a 3-jaw puller to pull that pull the hub off, and you need to have a what is this socket? An inch and a half socket to fit over that nut. I don't think you're going to be able to get a. Yeah, I suppose once you're in there, you can probably get an adjustable wrench on there, and just kind of go in between 2 lug nuts until it loosens off. But other than that, it's not too bad. It was kind of an easy fix. Just waiting for parts kind of sucked. But anyways, it's all done now. So please smash the hell out of that like button. Rate, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.